जय गौरा हरे Welcome to another episode of Too Much Wise.
This is the Gita Expedition series where we explore the timeless wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita, verse by verse and chapter by chapter.
All that we discuss here is what we've heard from perfected teachers and spiritualists from the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. None of this is our own analysis.
If you're here for the first time, then we recommend that you watch the warm-up series of the Bhagavad Gita where we introduce some concepts of the Gita for the first time.
This episode is better heard than watched. You can hear it while taking a walk, while driving, cooking, or even walking out.
We've had a lot of fun recording this, and we hope that it's an enriching experience for all of you as well. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
अयानेषु च सर्वेषु यथा भागम् अवस्थिता भीष्ममेवाभिरक्षन्तु भवन्तः सर्व एव हि तस्य सञ्जन्यन् हर्षं कुरु वृद्धपितामहः सिंहनादं विनद्योच्चैः शङ्खं दद्मौ प्रतापवान् तथा शङ्खस्य भैर्यश्च पनवानकगोमुखा सहसैवाभया हन्यन्ता शब्दस्तु मलोभवात्. All of you
Hare Krishna.
must now give full support to Grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into the phalanx of the army. Then Bhishma, the great valiant grandsire of the Kuru dynasty, the grandfather of the fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly, making a sound like the roar of a lion, giving Duryodhana joy. After that, the conch shells, drums, bugles, trumpets, and horns were all suddenly sounded, and the combined sound was tumultuous.
Jai. Now we're getting into it. Now we're getting into the war. War is just about to start. You can almost hear it. For us, though, it's right here near Kurukshetra. If we, yeah, if you were right here, I think I'm sure we would have heard 64 crore people blowing conch shells,
Yeah.
half of India's current population. But yeah, what's happening here, Prabhu? Um, Duryodhan has given his whole pep talk. He's given his instigations. He's incited everybody, Bhishma Dev, Dronacharya, all of them, and he's continuing that in the 11th shloka as well. And then Bhishma Dev does something in the 12th, and then in the 13th is where we see a shift. Almost like a panning of the camera, that now Duryodhan has spoken all of this. Now it's gonna pan. It's gonna show you a wide shot of what is happening, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna go on from there.
Yeah.
What's happening, Prabhu? What's happening in the 11th shloka?
11th shloka is where Duryodhan sort of redirects his energy from
Mm.
inspiring and sprucing up the generals and the commanders to pumping up, firing up everyone else in the army. So he moves
Yeah,
from the top rung of leadership to the next rung, to everyone else.
yeah,
While doing so, he also uh, shows, at least on the outside, all respect to Bhishma Dev. So he says, give full
yeah.
support to Bhishma Dev. He's your leader. But
Mm.
he's also motivating and pumping up the rest of the army as you stand
Yeah,
at your respective strategic points. So he's just shifting uh, the focus now.
gears a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Here,
that's the 11th one.
again, here we also see that now he again he's doing his thing, that kaise, like he has given a lot of attention to Dronacharya, and in the previous one again, with Dronacharya he takes Bhishma's name. Now he's gonna take only Bhishma's
Mhm.
name, like uh, only Dronacharya to Dronacharya plus Bhishma Dev, and now only Bhishma Dev.
Yeah.
He's trying to balance things out. He thinks everybody's like him, because if he were in their position, if someone had taken someone else's name and not his name, he would have felt bad. He would have felt, "Arey, what is this? I am also standing here. I am also some
Yeah.
person. I have this gada." We just heard this the other day. The world is not what it actually is. World is what we mostly. It is how we see it.
Mhm.
That's how we perceive the world mostly, for the most part.
Mhm.
And the chashma that is there on our eyes is mostly made out of the consciousness that we have, the
Mhm.
character that I have, and that's what is happening. That's what we get to see here as well, that Duryodhan himself being like that. He thinks everybody's like that.
Hmm.
This person needs to have an ego boost, this person needs to be mentioned because he needs to be mentioned. Yeah, and he mentioned grandfather Bhishma and grandsire, the Bhishma Dev, the great Bhishma Dev. I, for me personally speaking, Bhishma Dev has been the in Mahabharata, of course after Krishna, but he's been the favorite character. He has shown so many different sides. He's like that valiant, like mighty fighter. Seen five generations.
Hmm.
He's just been there
Hmm.
because he's Chiranjeevi, right? He has that boon to him because of his strong vows that he's taken. He has a boon from his father that he's Chiranjeevi. He can die at his will. He's not going to die through his body's afflictions. So he's seen five generations of just people coming and going, and he's seen a lot of things. Pandu and Dhritarashtra fighting, Pandu going. Before that also Satyavati, and so much history just seen through it. He just aged through it, like you can see, like. And now at this point he's like this mighty wise warrior. Even at this point, by the way, he was supposed to be the most powerful
Yeah.
fighter on that battlefield, not just Arjun or whatever. In terms of sheer power, yeah, he didn't have Krishna on his side right then, at least physically, or in that sense, he's a devotee still. But yeah, most powerful fighter on that battlefield then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Hmm. Duryodhan is, as you said, Duryodhan is looking at Bhishma Dev from from with the lenses that he's wearing. And he's looking
ah,
at Bhishma Dev just like how he looks at the world, and
correct.
while doing so, he's forgetting that Bhishma Dev is he's too seasoned, he's too mature to be to be
Yeah,
flattered by these words. You know,
yeah.
he the fact that Bhishma Dev is standing there fighting for the Kauravas despite his love for the Pandavas tells you of his character,
Mm,
in the sense that he has affection and love for the Pandavas, but in his uh, thinking right now his duty is to fight for the Kauravas. Yeah.
yeah.
Which is a different set of discussion on its own, that why is he even fighting for the Kauravas,
Mm,
if he's so wise, five generations. But
yeah,
we'll come to that. But before that, he's a man of integrity, he's so wise, he's so mature.
yeah,
He doesn't need Duryodhan's appreciation, he doesn't need Duryodhan's attention, but Duryodhan is
yeah,
giving it to him because Duryodhan is thinking, hey, Bhishma Dev wants this. Duryodhan
yeah,
is thinking from his lens.
yeah,
That's what actually all of us also do. Like,
yeah.
so many times it has happened to me, that I've gone into a, a set of people from different cultures, and I have tried to impose my own self on them, thinking that they will like this because I like
Mm,
it.
yeah,
And in that way, I've just brought out my own securities and I've just ended up being embarrassed. So many
yeah.
times we do this. Uh, and that's what is happening right now.
It is actually quite embarrassing to read right now because I feel embarrassed. Ki, what is this Duryodhan doing, man? Like such a small thinking, petty thinking.
Yeah.
Somebody was telling me, asking me. They met me after a long time, and they asked me, school friends. They asked me, "Hey, you did your MPP? No, I didn't. I didn't do my MPP.
What is
MPP is
MPP?
Masters in I think it's political science or something like
Okay.
that. No, no, it's policy. It's a
Public policy.
policy master, public policy. Yeah, it's a public policy masters. So someone asked me, did I do an MPP? And no, I didn't do MPP. No, he's like, oh, you must have. I thought you would have done because in school you were a master of petty politics.
Oh.
And he was a funny jibe at me, but I like this person. Duryodhan is a real MPP man. He's the master of petty politics.
Uh,
Uh, Really, and the pettiness here, in front of Bhishma Dev, especially when you were juxtaposing it in front of the big, massive presence of Bhishma Dev, it's just so embarrassing. It's like, oh my god, what is this
yeah.
person doing? He thinks he's just outsmarting people with his words, but Bhishma Dev is not taking any of it, and
Yeah.
that's what we see in the 12th shloka
Yeah.
here.
I,
We
I,
see that, yeah, yeah, bro.
I'm just thinking, I don't know if it has happened with you. Sometimes, when I'm with my mom, and my mom
Mm,
is with someone really learned, uh, with a spiritual saint, and my mother, being herself, will go and sometimes give a lesson to that to that spiritual saint, to that sadhu. and uh,
Yeah,
and I'm so embarrassed, and I'm just looking down. Mama, kya bol rahe ho ye? She's doing it, of course, out of a different intention, but I'm so,
yeah,
so this is like that, it's like a tiny kid telling
yeah,
a giant what to do. So,
yeah.
so that's the
Hey, but this is very
embarrassment.
different. I know your mother. She's also a giant in her own,
Yeah.
in her
I mean,
own.
I'm just trying to
And
relate the embarrassment.
yeah, because you're a son, you see
Yeah,
that, and you see
exactly.
it from
Yeah, of course.
lens.
I'm
Yeah.
looking at her with my own lens, right? So that's right. Yeah, you were talking about the 12th shloka, Prabhu.
Yeah, in the 12th shloka, Bhishma Dev does something which, I mean, if you just see the flow of the shlokas that are going, you can see, ki, okay, why did Bhishma Dev do this? He suddenly, here, for example, with Dronacharya, it seems like they've had a conversation. It seems a little longer. Bhishma Dev, he just starts talking about him, and Bhishma Dev has been observing what Duryodhana's doing. Dronacharya ke paas pehle he went, and then he did this, and then now he's come with me, and he's like, okay, I'm done with this. If people might see that, okay, Bhishmadev, oh, Bhishmadev, Bhishmadev seems to have been pepped up now. He seems to be ready. He's blowing his conch shell, and now he's ready to fight. But the acharyas tell us this Bhishmadev is like just tired.
Yeah.
He's like just
आगे बढ़
tired
यार,
of his
आगे
own.
बढ़ यार. Like move
Uh,
on,
this
move on.
this grandson of mine, this great grandson of mine, what is he doing? And he's like, you want me to fight? No, I'll fight. Just shut up. Just don't do this. Don't do this makhanbazi that you're doing right now. To buttering up. I don't need this. You're insulting me by doing this. Insulting my intelligence. Insulting my presence by doing this. I don't need this. I know what's going to happen. I know in this fight who's going to win, who's not going to win. I know I'm going to give my full because that's what I have to do. You don't need to do all of this for me to do all that. And I just want you to shut up and here you go. Bacche, ye chahiye na tere ko le.
ले ले.
Le, you just take this. And he just blows his conch shells, just shut Duryodhana up and just basically to give him a consolation. And that's what you see at the end of text 12. You see that he says, giving Duryodhan joy.
Joy, yeah,
You know, Duryodhan's happy now.
yeah,
My ploy has worked.
yeah,
Now this is great. I have spruced up the great
yeah,
Bhishmadev to fight.
yeah.
That's what he's thinking.
Yeah. Duryodhana has
That's
a
what
wicked
Duryodhan.
smile on his face, like
Yeah.
like that.
Duryodhana, my plan's working. The wheels are turning.
Yeah,
Yeah, bro, wheels are turning, but they're gonna turn against you
yeah,
soon. And he doesn't realize that, but
yeah.
everybody else knows. It seems like everybody there knows the truth. Everybody there knows what's gonna happen, and yet they just, Prabhupada gives the example of a moth. If you ever have seen this, if you have an open flame. In a place where it's rained or something, a lot of moths basically start circling around the
Fire,
open flame,
yeah.
and they just keep circling it, and at one point they basically spiral into the fire itself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Prabhupada gives this example for different things, but here that's what we see, that he's so focused, centered around that crown and that ego of his, but he doesn't know that that itself is just going to destroy him. That is what is he's going to spiral into his own destruction, and that's what he's doing. He can't see it
Mm-hmm.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But why? Why are Bhishma Dev and Dronacharya even fighting for a person like Duryodhan, who is an egomaniac, who doesn't have the sense
Mm,
of what to speak when, who doesn't have the sense of respecting his own elders, is not a man of integrity. Why are
mm.
they fighting for him? Why are they fighting for a blind man like Dhritarashtra? What's happening?
Yeah. I mean, it's a sad. I don't know. It's a little sad. It's a little romantic also because it has its little history to it, and just some kind of people like this actually. People, this is the reason. People ask questions like, "Oh, Karna, he's the correct person," and Dronacharya and Bhishma and all this. But especially speaking about Dronacharya and Bhishma, they had their apparent majburis, you can say, obligations, so to say. They thought, they had some kind of responsibility, some kind of jawabdari jisko bolte hain, towards the throne of Hastinapur, not to Dhritarashtra, not to Duryodhan. They've tried their best to just dissuade them, talk to them, put some sense into them. What they're thinking is the throne of Hastinapur, Rashtra, you know, the Rashtra, for especially for Bhishma, Dronacharya, more than Rashtra, it is about I have मैंने नमक खाया है. I have
But I'm
uh,
indebted.
had I am indebted to this throne. It has given me the life that I'm living right now. As you know, we spoke about this before, that they were in abject poverty, and he Dronacharya being a Brahmana, he doesn't care about poverty. He can live in poverty, but for his own son, he couldn't tolerate it, because his son was he couldn't tolerate the fact that his son was not being taken care of, and he was feeling very guilty about that. So when he came to teach the Kurus, that's how he came about. What happened basically, that he came to become the martial arts teacher for the Kurus, which is Kauravas and Pandavas. Um, he got taken care of by this whole the place that I live in, especially Gurugram. Guru Dronacharya's gaon, Gurugram, was given to him. That you live here, quarters dete na, people give quarters to government servants. So he was serving the government, and he was given this whole village as the quarters for him, and he was given a life, and for that he thinks that
Yeah.
he owes it for his own child. He owes it, and that was, I think, a miss on his judgment from his part, because um, all these moralistic things, they're great. It might make you look that, even though even though he knows he's going to die, even though he knows he's on the wrong side, he's still fighting because of his responsibility, because he thinks he owes. So you can romanticize that, but it's not an intelligent thing to do.
Yeah.
What you're going to achieve by doing that? You're just sticking to your morals, because you think morals are what will give you glory. Morals are what will give you a better life in the next life, whatever it is, right? uh, Higher morals aren't higher than your spiritual duty. Morals are not higher, because such morals, what is the value of such morals that are coming in the way of your own duty? Morals are supposed to keep you on the path of duty, not get you away from it. Then they're not real morals. If you talk about Bhishma Dev also, um, his vows, he had vows. Devavrat, his name is Devavrat. His name, Bhishma came from that. Bhishma means, very intense. Bhishma. People from the denizens of heavens and everyone, they basically started chanting this name, Bhishma, when he took this vrat of eternal celibacy, even being a kshatriya just for the sake of his father, and all of that happened before. But when he took that vrat, he's like, oh my god, what an intense vow. And he's just stuck to that vow, and his second vow that he took was that I'm going to always protect, I'm going to always be the servant,
Mhm.
Katappa.
Mhm.
He's basically Katappa
Mhm.
from Bahubali. That I'm always going, whatever, whoever is ruling, I don't care. I'm just going to be serving the throne of Hastinapur. I'm just going to try and make Hastinapur the best.
Mhm.
The best thing he could have done for Hastinapur was fight on the other side, by the way.
Mhm.
But his vow, um, you keeping your vow above your spiritual sense doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
It's nonsense.
Mhm.
And that's we're not blaming Bhishma Dev. We're learning from him, because he's a person we learn from. But yeah, um, वैसे majburi, we can call it their majburis or whatever from their thinking, but this is the reason why they're fighting there. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's quite
It's-
a little sad, but yeah.
For Dronacharya, it's like he's in a political party
Yeah.
where the leader is completely screwed up. Yeah.
Mm.
He's been taking wrong decisions all this while, but he's just so indebted to the political party because the political party got him his seat, got him
Yeah.
uh, his constituency, and he's
Yeah.
like, how can I now not support them? Yeah. Despite
Correct.
the leader being a complete jerk, I'll have to
Mm.
support, right?
Yeah.
And if you're in India in contemporary times and you have a political opinion, you will be able to relate to this very easily, which is the
Yeah.
political party, which leader is being called a jerk. I don't have an opinion. I'm not like taking sides. I'm just uh, relaying what the general populace has been saying. So that's what Dronacharya is thinking. And
Yeah.
Bhishma Dev, yeah, as you said, he's just stuck to the vow. Uh, he's too attached to the vow, you can say, in a sense,
Yeah.
and that's why he's continuing to serve Dhritarashtra, not directly but indirectly, because he's serving the Hastinapur
The
throne.
throne. Yeah.
Uh, so both of them have these sad reasons, and that's why they're
Yeah,
fighting.
it's quite sad. They're good people, good intentions, but it is there's a saying that the sometimes or many times the pathway to hell is paved with good intentions.
Shits.
See, they basically the good intentions alone don't see. We obviously sitting here in our you and I sitting in our rooms. Um, we can't think. There's a lot of complications there. It's a very complex situation. It's not a black and white situation. They have to take that decision. These are great stalwarts, wise people, and we're not above them. We're not here to judge them, but we're here to learn from them, as I said, and are learning from them because they did this. They what they showed us by doing this is that. yeah, no vow is actually greater than your duty to the ultimate supreme spirit, Shri Krishna. Your no vow is greater than actual dharma. Personal dharma, you can't put your personal dharma above actual dharma.
Hmm.
You have set yourself in, "Nee, I have made this vow, but I don't care." It's basically like, I saw this cartoon once, like a little sketch. I saw this in some place and it was very funny. If my personal vow is that, no, no matter what, this is a country where everybody keeps to the left, I'm going to keep to the left no matter what. Left side driving, left side walking, everything left side. Like, I'm going to just stick to left side whenever I have to commute, move around. Now, while climbing a mountain, the spiral is there and the mountain is on your right side, but this guy's vow is that, no, I'm and very like narrow space is there for that pathway to climb that mountain. He's like, no, I have to keep on the left. So instead of keeping to the mountain side or the cliff side, he started sticking to the open side, because he has that vow of, I have to keep on the left. And then because he kept to the left, he slipped, landslide, and gone.
Yeah.
So he there's another story that because he wanted to keep to the left, you know what he did? He started walking backwards because he wanted to keep on the left. So his left will be the cliff side or the mountains are only if he starts walking backwards. So he started walking backwards the whole mountain. So if you start putting your own vow, your own rules, Rupa Goswami calls it niyamagraha. uh, Niyamagraha, he uses both words. He basically says vows, both extremes are not good. Rules and regulations, vows, both extremes are not. Whimsically giving up vows just because you can't do it, you don't want to do it, your heart doesn't want to do it, that's also not good. But on the other side, sticking to vows very rigidly without thinking about the essence and where that vow is leading me to, that is also not good. Both will not do you any good, Rupa
Yeah.
Goswami says, one
Hmm.
of our great teachers in this
Yeah, and
tradition.
it makes so much sense. Like
Yeah,
it's so practical, right?
correct.
That cartoon example. I have a cartoon in my life, which is my wife. This reminds me of my wife. She's been brought up in Dubai. So over
Yeah,
there, everyone drives in their lanes. Like everyone's a stickler for rules. The fines
yeah,
are too much. Everybody has to drive in their lane. And she came to Delhi and she's like, "I'm going to stick to driving in my lane." And I had to tell her, "Bro, you're
yeah,
in Delhi." She's like, "No, no, no, no. That's what I've been taught. That's the vow. You have to drive
yeah,
in your lane."
yeah,
And sure enough, the lane ended her up many times into the pavement because that's Delhi.
yeah.
That's how the lanes are. So, like, you have to go above the vows, look at the essence
Mm,
of your vow, and follow that. Like, you drive in the
correct.
lane to be safe yourself and to keep others safe. But if
Yeah,
the lane itself is leading to unsafe behavior, then you reject
mm,
that vow.
yeah,
And that's the learning.
yeah,
Very interesting that it's so complex, so black and white. Such men made such mistakes in
correct.
decisions. Why did that happen? That's a topic for another day. What
Yeah,
made Bhishma Dev and Dronacharya ignore the essence of their vows or of their debts? Why did that
yeah,
happen? Maybe some other day.
yeah. 13th is just a connector shloka that we have.
Hmm.
Uh, so I just want to talk about that. It basically talks about how the conch shells, drums,
Hmm.
bugles, trumps, and horns all suddenly sounded. Everybody's on the. So that's the practice that they had before starting, even in each day. But this is just first day, first show. That's what's happening here. So everybody's blowing it, but they usually blow the conch shell, because conch shell is supposed to be shankanad. It's called. You blow it even before doing arati or things like that. Auspiciousness. You're about to kill, and yet they're invoking auspiciousness.
Hmm.
That's the culture.
Hmm.
You're about to kill, you're going to go into war, but they're invoking auspiciousness. Why? Clearing out the ether, clearing out the air. The bells, the sound of the bell is supposed to be purifying for the air, and the conch shell is supposed to be purifying for ether. The five, two out of five, panch
Elements.
mahabhut,
Hmm.
which make up matter. That's what they purify, and they're purifying that space, because we're gonna fight something, and may the best person win, may the person who's dharmic win, and that's the consciousness by which they playing the conch shells.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Uh,
you have something to
we,
say.
we've used the word dharma a few times here, and dharma can be, as a word, it can be understood at different levels. But for
Mhm.
now, in this context of this conversation, dharma can be understood only as what's right, what's wrong, like what's
Yeah,
absolutely right and absolutely
absolutely,
wrong.
on an absolute
Absolute level,
yeah,
not relative right, relative wrong. Relative right
yeah,
and relative wrong means what's right to me, and what's right to me may
mhm,
be wrong to you. But over here,
correct,
As you said, they're purifying the environment to say that may the absolute right win.
Correct. They say that's why they're at war, because they don't agree on what is right and what's wrong. So they're like, okay, let's fight it out,
Yeah,
and let Providence decide. May the actual person who's on the good side win.
yeah, yeah. Not
That's
my
what
good,
they
not
basically
your good, but like
say.
the real good
Yeah,
win.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, good
Okay.
culture.
Huh? Sorry.
Not fighting, but blowing conch shell.
Yeah.
Good culture there.
Okay. So
Okay,
we've
I
run
think
out
we
of
can stop
time.
there.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll close
Yeah.
it there. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. See
Okay.
you tomorrow.
Thank you. Okay. Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jaya Go